What is up? Welcome to my channel. I'm glad you're here. Today we're doing another reading vlog. So this week I'm going to be reading books with black covers. I put it in quotation marks because some of the books don't have covers that are black, but all of the spines of the books are black. Some of them have like other colors on it, but it is mostly black spines. All 4 of these books are standalone books, so I'm excited to get into them. The first book is Perfect Remains by Helen, and this is a mystery thriller. Then we have Bride by Ali Hazelwood, which I'm going to read next. This is, I guess, a werewolf vampire book and like marriage of convenience kind of thing. I know a little bit about this book. Well, I guess werewolf and vampire isn't considered fantasy and is considered paranormal. Would have never guessed, but this is second. The third book we're gonna read is A Man Downstairs. This is a mystery thriller, which I'm really excited for because the back sounds so good. And then last, we have one of the most recommended books on Book Talk and Booktube, which is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Reed Jenkins. I'm so excited to read this book because I really want to figure out what happened to her 7 husbands. Did she off them? Like, what'd she do? Did they do something to her? I'm very intrigued. It was listed as a 5-star book, so I kind of want to save this till the end of the video. Without further ado, let's get into Perfect Remains. It is currently a lot later. I've read about 150 pages of Perfect Remains. It is a dual POV book, so half the chapters are in the murderer's POV and then half the chapters are in the police officer's POV. And to be honest, the first couple chapters in the like police officer's point of view were pretty boring, and I feel like the murderer's POV was a lot more interesting. He has this really good job. I don't know if he works at like a school or something, but he's got like a pretty like high up job or something. I think it said he was a doctor. I'm not quite sure. He's like an administrator or something, but like administrator of what? I have no idea. I feel like they probably did tell me and I just like went in one ear out the other. So far in the book, there's definitely like a plot twist at the beginning, or at least like I wasn't expecting it from like a murder mystery. If you know what I'm talking about, like he's low-key kind of smart, which I feel like gives him his motive. Although the 2 POVs didn't like merge. They like briefly met each other, but they didn't really meet each other. But some of the side characters from their interlocking POVs know each other. For one chapter, like the POVs like connected, and I was like, I think I know what's about to happen. This will most likely be a spoiler. I don't fully know yet. It's just my idea of what's gonna happen, but I feel like I have to spoil it a bit in the beginning just to like get where I'm coming from. So please skip to this time if you are planning on reading this book. This murderer has abducted and murdered 2 high-profile people. She works at a church and she went to Oxford, and then the other girl, I forget what she did. Was she like a lawyer or something? I don't know. They were both really smart. They both went to really prestigious schools and stuff, and he took them and murdered them. And on the police officer side, there's this new detective in town. He's getting to know his coworkers, and I feel like there's a love story gonna happen between him and his coworker. Here's where the side characters are connected. In the detective's point of view, he has a coworker, DI, named Ava. In the murderer's point of view, his like boss, I guess, is this girl named Natasha. Ava and Natasha are friends. Ava does the speaking, I guess, at the college or whatever they're at. That's what I'm assuming they're at. I really have like no idea, but that's what I'm assuming. And that's when he sees her, and he makes like this offhanded comment about like, oh, I wish Natasha would look at me like that detective looks at the other detective. So I have a feeling Luce and Ava, they're gonna fall in love, and the murderer is going to kidnap Ava, and she's gonna be like the 3rd victim, and that is how Luce is gonna be able to find out who the murderer is. That's my idea. The spoiler is over, but I don't know like fully whether I like murder mysteries where I can predict the ending, or if I like absolutely like want to be completely thrown off, because I did read Lucy Foley's The Guest List, and I absolutely loved that book. The murderer was not who I expected. I don't know if I just loved her writing, but I have read some other murder mysteries where I was like, I had no idea what was going on. I think it was The Mirror Man. I gave that book a 3-star, I believe, but I couldn't tell who the murderer was. But I also felt like there was like loose ends, and I was so confused reading it, and the person who I thought it was gonna end up being didn't end up being the person, and I was kind of left disappointed that the twist wasn't what I thought it was gonna be. So I feel like it's a hit or miss, but I feel like I will love this book if what I think is gonna happen happens. So we'll have to continue reading and see what happens. Day. I'm 252 pages into Perfect Remain. I can definitely tell you it is not a 5-star book. The cover, I love. The lead detective investigator on our case is Luch, whatever you want to call him, I have no idea. And then there's also another detective investigator investigating a different case, and her name is Ava. I much prefer the parts where we see Ava covering her case, and maybe it's just because they haven't figured anything out. Like he's starting to find out the big twist. I'm gonna keep reading. It's currently 3 a.m. in the morning, and I just finished Perfect Remain. When I tell you I'm a genius, I'm a genius. You know what I told you? My spoiler. Obsessed with the fact that it happened. There was like a subplot that I forgot about, and it actually came back in the story, and I was like, what the heck is going on? I was like, oh, I did like the book. I'm gonna end up giving this book 3 stars just because I enjoyed reading it. The beginning's kind of slow, and then in the last like 100 pages, like everything's going down. The ending was not what I expected. There was no romance in this like I originally thought there was going to be. Well, like it was hinted at, but it wasn't made official, which kind of annoyed me. It's 3 a.m. and I obviously can't go to bed now. Otherwise, I'll be asleep till like 5 p.m. Instead, we're gonna move right on to the next book, which is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. But when I tell you, I saw one review of this book. One person read it. After I bought it, I swear every Booktube video that I have seen from then until now has been talking about this book. But it's low-key giving the books I read on Wattpad in grade 4, which is making me want to do a video reading Wattpad books for like a week. So stay tuned for that, I guess. I don't know what else to tell you about this. And if you see this sticker on the book, mind your business. I'm going to attempt to take it off after this, but I have absolutely no nails. So if it's still on there when I'm reading that, I don't want to hear anything. Well, I will see you guys after I read a bit of this. Hello, it is the next day. I've read about 50-ish pages of Bride, and it is giving Wattpad, but like one of the better Wattpad stories. So obviously there is a marriage of convenience between the alpha werewolf and the councilman's daughter of the vampires, and they just got married. That's about all that's happened. And we got like a little bit of backstory. If you don't want to hear my theory for the book, which might potentially be a spoiler, again, if you would not like a spoiler, potentially skip to this time. Okay, my thing is, right? So our main character, vampire girl, is Misery, and the alpha's name I think is Lowell. Misery lived in the human world. So there's human vampires, werewolves. And she lived in the human world, and she had a best friend named Serena or overseer or something like that. I think it was Serena. And the book kind of implies that she's no longer in Misery's life. So here's the thing. I think Serena was taken by the alpha werewolf, currently, lol, because he thought she was his mate. So what I think happened is Lowell took Serena because Serena had Misery's scent on her, and his mate is actually Misery, but Serena's with her all the time and lived with her, so she has her scent. That's my great idea. And Misery agrees to the marriage of convenience because she knows Serena's with him. The alpha's wife or mate or whatever has to go into the vampire world, and I think it's Serena. So I don't think she's gonna see her best friend, but I think that's why she agreed to the marriage of convenience once she heard his name. Okay, spoilers over. I'm gonna continue reading and I'll let you know my thoughts. Okay guys, hello. It is the next morning and I've finished Ride. I get what people say when they say there's a lot of plot holes in the story. I thoroughly enjoyed it. There were some parts where I was like, what the hell is going on? If you read the book, you know, what the hell is a knot? What the heck is it? I have no idea. What the hell is it? I have no idea. I read that and I was like, what the hell are they talking about? Overall, I'm giving this book a 4-star. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I read it all in one day. So it was like 400-ish pages and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So now I'm curious to read Ali Hazelwood, like a romance book. I guess she's really popular for love theoretically. Hopefully get those books soon and we can do reading Ali Hazelwood for a week. We are halfway through the book. I only have 4 books for this week. And now we're moving on to A Man Downstairs. This, I guess, is more of like a murder mystery, thriller, crime related. We're going with this one. It looks creepy. It reminds me of my own basement, so I doubt I'm gonna be going down there anytime soon. It's about this girl who moves back to her small hometown, and I think it was her mother was murdered, and her testimony as a child put this guy in jail, and now she's learning that this guy might have had nothing to do with it. So it sounds interesting. I'll give you my opinion in a bit. I'm gonna read a couple chapters and then we'll sit and chat. I've been reading A Man Downstairs all of last night and a bit today. I'm currently on page 212. This book is going by very slowly, and I feel like it's because there's 3 point of views. So it's present day Molly, and there's also a point of view of her dad when he was falling in love with her mom. Kind of hate him, low-key. And then there's another point of view of what I'm assuming is the guy that supposedly had offed her mom, but when he was a kid and how he like fell in love with her. Some parts I'm entertained. Some parts I'm like, oh my god, like I need to see what happens. Other parts I'm like, am I even reading the same story? This is very boring. And I feel like that's why it's taking me so long to finish. I do enjoy Molly's point of view sometimes. I don't like the dad Gil's point of view whatsoever. At first I was like, oh, they're gonna throw in like a little romance, and it was cute in the beginning, but then you started making some SHIT decisions, and I don't know how to feel about like this teenage point of view that isn't like, it doesn't tell us whose point of view it is, it just says him. But I do like that the font is different in those chapters. Here, let me show you. So I don't even know how well you can see it. This is the him chapter. I feel like it just gives it a different vibe. I don't love it and I don't fully hate it yet. I'm waiting for the like aha moment when all of the point of views kind of merge and you understand why those point of views were purposeful. Whereas right now I'm like, the point of views are boring. Hello guys, I just finished Man Downstairs and I think I'm gonna give this a 4-star because the ending is not at all what I thought it was gonna be, and I finally found out who that him point of view was, and I think that was more insane than finding out who the actual murderer was. I do feel like sometimes I did think the beginning part was boring, but it was important and she was leaving me breadcrumbs, but like didn't make any sense to me. Which means our last book is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I am so excited for. I know it doesn't really have a black cover, but the spine's black, so let's get into it. I just finished The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and if you're like, Franca, literally you just finished the other book 5 minutes ago. This looks the exact same. That's because I finished this book a while ago. I guess I just forgot to film it. Apparently, I just talked to everyone about this book and like didn't actually film it. So, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but this book is a 5-star. When I tell you I think about this book all the time, it lives rent free in my head because it is not what I thought it was. I thought it was gonna be a murder mystery and she was gonna off all her husbands. She didn't, and it was so good. And honestly, Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing is amazing because tell me why I thought Evelyn Hugo was a real person. She's that good at writing like famous people. Like, I was amazed. I think I searched up Evelyn Hugo several times throughout this book to make sure she wasn't a real person. The one thing I will say about this book, Evelyn Hugo really wants this one specific journalist to write her biography. I was confused as to how they were going to incorporate it in a way where it like ties to the story. She revealed how it's connected, and I was like, oh my god. So I'm not even going to say anything about this book. We're not going to talk about anything. I'm just going to tell you to read this book. And if you do want to purchase it, feel free to try out my links down below. I just became an Amazon associate, so if you would like to support me, feel free to click those links down below if you're interested in any of these books, and I will make a commission off of it. With that said, that is all for our reading Black Book covers for a week, and I will see you guys tomorrow.